Thank you so much, Senator Schumer. I really appreciate that special opportunity. I'm not a member of the Banking Committee, and I really appreciate, Mr. Chairman, you allowing me to be here. This is such an important issue for Louisiana, for the Gulf Coast, but more importantly than that, this is an important issue for the whole nation. And I really appreciate Senator Heitkamp's questioning, because what I've tried to impress upon the members of this committee and the Senate in both parties, this is not a Louisiana issue. This is not a Gulf Coast issue. This is not a coastal issue. This is a national issue. And for the record, to impress upon that, I want to submit for the record of this committee the 15 states that have more than have a substantial policies: California, 256,000; Florida, 2 million; Louisiana, 486,000; Mississippi, 75,000; North Carolina, 138,000; New Jersey, 238,000; New York, 173,000; Pennsylvania, 73,000; South Carolina, 204,000; Texas, 645,000 homes and businesses; Virginia, 115. I'm going to submit this to the record. It's 5 million homes in Louisiana, in the nation, including Louisiana, and businesses. Now, one of my questions, and I don't want an answer, but I'm going to ask you to submit in writing, are we going to see this total 5 million go up to 10 or 15 when new maps come out? What is the scale? That is rhetorical. It's important, Mr. Chairman, to understand the scale of this. We've been talking about the details of the affordability study, the technical aspects, but the scale of this is important. This is a major bill that passed without the data necessary to use either compassion or common sense. Okay? Compassion and common sense is what we're asking for. And it affects millions of homeowners and businesses. And it's not just homeowners and businesses, it's banks, real estate companies. It could have a devastating economic impact. It must be delayed, fixed, or modified. Now, I do have a specific question. GAO's testimony cites 5, Mr. Fugate, just 5 current gaps. There may be more, but 5. I'm going to do them quickly. Second homes. Data on primary versus second home residents is outdated. You might have it, it's not dated correctly. FEMA classifies properties as residential or non-residential, but does not know which of these properties are schools and churches still eligible for a subsidy as opposed to businesses which are not. In substantial damage properties, GAO says the law eliminates subsidies for properties with damage over 50% of their fair market value, but you don't even have data about people's fair market value of their home and no way to get it. Substantially improved properties. The law also eliminates subsidies for properties whose renovations exceed 30% of their fair market value. You can't calculate that ratio anyway. Finally, multifamily SRL, FEMA does not define severe repetitive loss for multifamily properties either, so you'd be unable to eliminate subsidies on these. You do not have the data to implement this law. Now, there's got to be some overriding law in the Constitution of the United States that says you can't implement a law if you can't implement it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to implement it, but you can't implement it if you don't have the data. Now, this is maybe how we do business in Louisiana. I don't know. I can hear Chuck Schumer saying that. But there's got to be a way. If you don't have the data, how can you implement it? That's number one. Number two, there are 3,000 counties in this country. We have 64 in Louisiana parishes. What I'd like to know is what FEMA is doing to reach out to NACO and to the mayors and to the national counties, because this poor woman that Senator Warren spoke about never flooded in her life, creek never overflowed, never came out of the creek. Now she's got to have $1,000. Maybe the county could organize a program to help homeowners like this. So what are you doing countywide, and will you include the levies that we build at our own expense into our rates?
We are reaching out through all the associations. We have been working through associations, floodplain managers, other associations, associations of government, and we continue to do that. As far as levy data, yes, ma'am, we will build whatever information, whatever protective measures. In fact, you gave us some tools in Biggert-Waters. There's not all bad here. One of the things you did do, which was really important, was remember
Mostly
if we
bad.
had a community that was getting and had funding to build a levee, and even though we know it was being built, we would charge the higher rates, and then we'd have to adjust them when the levee got built. You gave us the provision that if we know it's being built within a certain time frame, that we don't have to raise the rates, knowing that the funding's obligated and there would be new construction. So yes, we work those in and build those into maps, and we also factor in if it's under construction or will be under construction with funding, we can actually use that to do the map.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, to beg me just for 45 more seconds for 2 points. One, if Biggert-Waters and the bill was prospective, I think the country could deal with this in a better way. The fact that it's so retrospective and catching people that have been in their homes for decades on slabs in places like Louisiana, we live below sea level. But we've been living below sea level for 300 years. We did not move there yesterday. And may I say, just for the big picture of it, half the population of the Netherlands, which is 16 million people, I've been there 5 times, I think Mr. Fugate's been there, live below sea level. But you know, they don't flood. They don't price their people out of the market. You can live safely below sea level. People have been doing it for hundreds of years. But we have to have a policy that acknowledges that, supports that, not subsidizes at the great generosity of taxpayers, but is smart to recognize these economic coastal communities like New York, New Jersey. People aren't sunbathing there. We're operating the biggest port systems in the country. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.